Ciceron's Merciless Gauntlet is coming up, and I wanted to make a quick video about my plans for this particular gauntlet. The gauntlet is something I usually enjoy a lot, and I try to participate every time there's been one, and I usually don't do very well.
Nå, nei. Ok, det var såpass, ja. No f*** way, the corpse explosions. Oh. Seriøst? Det one-shotet meg ikke i stad? Oh my god, that's over.
But I aim to at least get like level 90 or maybe 95 if I'm feeling spicy. As you know, I've been doing some speedrunning practice with Scion, and if you didn't know I was doing Scion speedrunning, then that means you're probably new to the channel, and I really suggest checking out some of my other videos and subscribing to the channel. And it's not a coincidence that I chose the Scion, because usually that's the least popular class, tied with Ranger or something. But this time it's the Free Shell League, so the Scavenger is pretty different from the Ascendant, and I think Scavenger is probably gonna be more popular than normal, making Scion more popular than normal. So I don't think there's gonna be an easy title grab, not that I'm going to be playing enough to actually get a respectable placement anyways, but I'd like to try. So with all of the preamble out of the way, I wanted to get into what type of build I'm actually going to be playing. Truth be told, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Obviously, I'm going to level the Sunder build, which I've been practicing a bit, but I'm not sure how to kind of transition that into an endgame build. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Volcanic Fissure of Snaking, as that seems to be pretty meta. Usually you would go Berserker or Ancestral Commander, which I think is going to be really popular, based on some things I've been reading online. So I don't really know if Volcanic Fissure of Snaking works with Scavenger. Some of the nodes you can get are very strong on the Scavenger, but I'm not sure if they are that good for Volcanic Fissure, namely the Cloak of Flame unique armor, which makes you take physical damage as fire. I think it's gonna be a mainstay in the Scavenger builds, just because the Gauntlet usually have some pretty insane damage mods. You really need to build defense to be able to actually get far at all. The next node is the one with the weapons, and I think I'm going to go the one that gives you the Tawoa's Chosen. It's called Tawoa's Felling, and what that's gonna do is basically give you like a chieftain slam thingy, just like an extra dude that shows up and uses the slam skill at the same time as you do, and I think that's pretty good with the Volcanic Fissure of Snaking. The problem is that I haven't had time to actually test the skill at all, so I'm not sure how often. Like, I know that attack speed is important because you just want to spam out fissures, but I'm not sure how often, for example, the Tawoa's Chosen will show up, or if they're like an internal cooldown that I need to keep track of. So I'm basically just gonna vibe. I'm just gonna vibe it out. Okay, I'm just gonna interject here because I did a little bit of research, and it seems that Tawoa's Chosen has a 1 second internal cooldown, which is not that bad. But the Mirage attack will not be exerted by Warcries, which is going to be pretty bad because we use like 5 Warcries. That's kind of a thing for the build to function, so it might not be a good idea to go Tawoa's Felling after all. If Tawoa's Felling seems to be like not good, I might go Aurora's Sacrifice, which will give me Culling Strike against burning enemies, and I gain a Frenzy Charge if an attack ignites an enemy. I've been looking at some POBs, namely Crouching Tunis, and I see that he has a 45% ignite chance. So I think that the Frenzy Charge portion should be pretty easy to like maintain when you're mapping, and it should be easy to maintain while bossing. You can inflict multiple ignites on the same target, I know, they kind of queue up, I think. And if none of those are any good, I guess I'll go Sinvictus Metal, just for Rampage, increased AoE, which I think is pretty good on Volcanic Fissure of Snaking. And also you gain Frenzy Charges there as well, but it will only work on a boss, unless you get either the Squirming Worm thingy, or the Penance Mark unique, which is from Affliction, I believe. For the very last point in the Scavenger Ascendancy, you can spend it to get a unique jewelry effect, And I think there's really only one choice given the previous choices we made, and that's gonna be a Death Rush, which is kind of an easy access to adrenaline. Again, this will require you to have either the Hateful Accuser or a Squirming Terror, because you are dependent on killing mobs. I considered going Leadership's Prize, but if I were to go Oros in the previous section, I guess I can't ignite anymore, and that passive would be like null and void, so that's kind of useless. I do think Scorching would be really nice though, so maybe if we don't go Oros, we just don't care about ignite at all and just use the Scorching section. I think that might be really good, but again, we'll just have to find out. So that's kind of the basic passive structure I'm going to try and follow. I'll probably change some things up depending on how the gauntlet is going, but no matter what passives I take, I think there are still a couple of items which I should chase. So I'm going to compile like a list of items right here on the screen. So the first one is going to be a cluster jewel or two. At least one medium jewel with exerted attack skills, and another cluster jewel with increased attack damage or damage with axes or damage with two-handed weapons, I believe. The important thing is to get the fuel the fight notable, and on the exert medium jewels I want mob mentality and lead by example. Another thing I'm gonna wanna get is a glorious vanity. This is primarily so that we can get Corrupted Soul, which is a pretty nice defensive. Also, if we happen to find it, a Calm's Primacy would be really nice in the early game, although this will be heavily RNG dependent. And also just finding a Death Rush would be nice. We could take another passive instead of the Death Rush. The really nice thing about, for example, the Colloquial Flame passive is that you can use your body armor for something else other than Colloquial Flame, but Death Rush is kind of, it's an empty string, so it gives you Chaos Res, and it also has a recover 5% life on kill effect, so getting a Death Rush would be kind of nice because it's a pretty good item and a ring slot isn't too important in like the early mid game. Is there anything else I really need to get the build going? I need to farm the gem itself, the Volcanic Fissure of Snaking. I'll probably do this after the campaign, maybe in Merc Lab, so I can get quality up at the same time. I'm not gonna farm normal Crew Lab, even though it's Gauntlet. That feels kind of like a waste, because the Merc Lab rewards are usually a bit better. But I do know that quality is really important on the Volcanic Fissure gem, so I will definitely just do a couple Merc Lab runs in like the early game to get my quality to 20% fast, and I think quality on Warcries is pretty important as well, so I'll get those at the same time. So that's about everything I have planned for the Gauntlet. It's starting in a little under 48 hours, so you better get to sleeping and preparing. And as some observant viewers may have noted, I am in a different room than usual. I had some technical issues in my normal setup, so I had to move to this one. Shouldn't be a problem for the Gauntlet though, and I'm looking forward to it. And I hope you are too. See you in Rayclast, Exile.